Kia ora and welcome to Wahine, a podcast celebrating wahine in business who are carving their own path with intention, courage and vision. This is Wahine Legacy Leadership. Kia ora Sonaya, nau mai haramai ki te hōtaka a Wahine. Thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. It's such a pleasure to have you here. This really, truly does reflect the international global nature that we are in right now, given that you are in Doha and I am in Aotearoa. And yet here we are getting to know one another, you know, having your story told on the podcast. And the podcast Wahine is all about amplifying voices of other Indigenous and woman-led businesses. Those women who are just going about doing their business in order to live life in a way that is fulfilling for them and their family. So, you know, when I was exploring your profile and looking at how we can have a conversation on the podcast, I was like, Sonaya is just doing her thing, all for the benefit of her family and living life the way that she wants to live it. So welcome to the podcast. I'm excited for the listeners to listen to your story and listen to how you've designed your life and your business purpose fit for you. So I'm going to start by handing over to you and getting you to introduce yourself to the listeners.
Amazing. Well, thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here and to share. And yeah, so I'm Sonaya Williams. I'm originally American, currently living in Doha, Qatar. Basically, I left America. What I like to say is I left America in 2015. I left for love, but I stayed for the lifestyle. My husband is British, and when I met him in 2014, he refused to live in America. So because I then had my business and it was digital and I was able to work from anywhere, I continued to travel back and forth to London until an immigration officer asked me, where do I live? And I was like, oh, I live in America. And he was like, well, you spend more time in London. You may want to look into the visa options because they probably won't let you back into the country again. So I ended up, getting a tourist visa, renewing that a few times. And, we ended up getting married in 2016. I had a business at that point in time that I started in 2011, which is the CEO Partner. And basically we do fractional COO work. So we work behind the scenes of a lot of small businesses to help them streamline and scale their operations. And basically what that means is a lot of entrepreneurs run their business in their head. And that, from my experience, I don't know about yours, when you're running everything in your head, you tend to burn out. And you also tend to deliver your services very differently because nothing's written down. You can't deliver the same experience because you don't know or remember what you did last time. So I help a lot of business owners take the operations of how they do their business out of their head, put it onto paper, help them create playbooks, which allows them to hire, train different people on their teams, and also deliver good customer experiences. So my background's in corporate, and I learned that one thing corporate does right is process and operations. Like if you look at these big corporations, they've got tons of playbooks, and that's how they run their businesses. There's no one person walking around with, the step-by-step of their business in their head. So I decided to help people figure out how they can, apply the same principles so that they can scale and grow their business. And since then I've taken my business from America to London, to Denmark, back to London, and now we're in Doha.
Incredible. I'm interested to know what you did before starting your business. Like when you worked in corporate, Were
Yeah.
you doing systems and streamlining and operations, or did you come from a different part of the business? What did that look
Yeah.
like?
So I started out in project management. So I used to do projects at a company called AT&T. It was a phone company. Um, when I graduated college. And then I got an opportunity to work in banking and a department called business process management, where it literally was
Mm,
documenting how the business was running. And a lot back then, the business was running on spreadsheets and macros. I don't know if anybody remembers macros, but we were charged with removing all the macros in the company and creating automations. And
mm,
I saw like the change in customer service and the profits of the company from like having people doing things manually to automated. And from
mm,
there, like when I decided that this wasn't like my final thing, like in corporate, I was traveling so much. I knew
mm,
that when I had kids, I wanted to be home with them. I was raised by a single mom and I watched her work multiple jobs to provide for me. It was just me and her. And I knew that whenever I had kids, I wanted to be home and have more autonomy over my schedule. So I needed to
mm,
figure out how to make that happen. Um, so when I said, "Oh, I want to start a business," I had no idea that the business would be what it is now. I just knew
mm,
that I wanted to help people do the thing that corporate does really well,
mm,
and they don't know how to do that. But I did because by then I had spent 10 years in corporate,
mm.
um, you know, doing automations and operations and helping them make money. So it's like, how come entrepreneurs don't know this yet? So
And how did you find that out? How did you work out what the entrepreneur, what the small business owner needed? Because sometimes when you work in corporate, you're so focused on what their core business is and the people that you're working with. It can be the small entrepreneur, the small business owner can be rather removed from that environment, right?
yeah, very moved. And then also, I like to say in shock because as an entrepreneur, you have to do all the things and you don't necessarily intend to do that when you start a business, right? You start a business for your passion, for what delivering what you love, but then you have to do the sales, you have to do the customer service, you have to do the packaging, the delivery, all the things.
Mm,
Um, so I started networking before I even had a business.
right.
And I remember going to this networking event and just asking people like, so what's your business? And what's your biggest pain point or what are you struggling with kind of thing. And the theme I kept seeing is people were spending a lot of time doing things they didn't want to do or trying
Mm,
to figure out how to improve the delivery of their service. And
mm,
that's when I was like, you don't have things written down. Like I was just amazed coming from corporate and still being in corporate at that time. It's
mm,
like, how do you not have things documented? Like in my job in the banking world, if you didn't have things documented, that's a huge problem.
mm,
And they're just like, we don't have time to document. And I'm like, that's a big mistake. That's a huge mistake. And that's the
mm,
mentality a lot of entrepreneurs have. It's like, and rightfully so. I mean, as an entrepreneur, your main goal is making money, right? So how can I get more sales? How can I go out there and find new clients? How can I grow my audience?
mm,
So right, taking time to step back and create that playbook is like uh, going backwards. Some people think.
mm,
So I understand it as an entrepreneur now, but coming from corporate back then, I was like, what do you mean? You just take a few hours, write down your steps, and now your business is on paper kind of thing.
mm,
So my very first client was a sales company in New York, and they sold like copy machines and faxes and fax machines and supplies to schools. And his biggest complaint about his sales team was that they could never close the deal in one visit. They would always have to go and make 2 and 3 visits before they had the paper signed. And after continuing to interview him and talk to him about what the issue was, they just never had a simple checklist about all the things that they needed on site and all the decision makers and signatures and things like that needed on site.
mm,
And you know as a beginning entrepreneur, well, you ask the question, well, what benefits is this going to be to you? And how is this going to make your life different? And I mean, he was a guy almost in his late 40s, and he had a young son. He wanted to spend more time with his kids, and he also wanted to spend Fridays golfing. Now, I'm in my 40s and my husband's in his 40s, and yeah, he loves to golf. Like every weekend he's golfing. So I totally get it now. Back then I didn't get it, but now I get it because Dwayne's always golfing. Yeah, I don't get the sport, but so after we got his processes documented, he was only working 4 days a week, and then it's went down to 3 days a week, and he was able to golf during the day on Friday and pick his son up from school. And for me, that was a win because his sales team was closing deals on like the first, maybe the second visit, but it was his profits increased and his sales increased. So that proved to me that it's systems. Systems is the answer.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you completely. Systems is the answer to, getting a business to operate smoothly and getting a consistent customer experience with happy staff along the way. And they're not second guessing, and they're not continually being redirected to how you as the owner want your business run. So I am all about all the systems. But there's that piece where entrepreneurs, small business owners, it's a job they keep putting off. Now that you've been in your business helping other businesses in this space for a number of years now, do you notice that there is a point in time in a business journey where they can go without systems, but then there's this like point that's the turning point? Either you create your systems and continue to grow and scale, or you carry on without systems and you plateau and nothing gets any better.
And nothing, yeah, and try to figure out why you're not able to grow. Yeah, I think there's two kind of breaking points, and it depends on the business owner and I guess the business model as well. So I see that systems have to be in place for businesses when they are, if we want to go with revenue, when they are hitting like six figures and they're wanting to scale and grow. Because sometimes when they hit that revenue point, they're looking to either bring in an assistant or bring in someone to help them with customer service. And you're going to want to have things documented so that person that you're bringing into your team, they have the confidence and are empowered to deliver results for you. And the only way they're going to know what you expect and what you want is if you have your systems documented.
So really, it's the point where you want to employ somebody to help you in the business. So when you go from being the freelancer, the solopreneur, where you can test and trial and adapt and see what's going to work as you begin to grow your business. But the point where you get your first staff member on board, regardless of whether that's a salesperson, an admin, a virtual VA, regardless of who that is, that person needs systems.
Yeah, that person needs to know what they're doing. And also, as the business owner, if you have your systems documented, you're able to know what skill you want to hire for, right? So, and it depends on your strengths, right? So if you're strong at something, I would keep that. If you're great at, so for me, I'm good at the operational piece. I didn't hire anyone to run my operations until well into multi six figures because I kept that close because I was good at it. And I outsourced the other parts of the business that took me longer or was more frustrating for me. So that's when I say when it depends on the business owner, I guess, which part of your business you want to systematize and outsource versus just a lot of people say, I'm going to hire a VA. That's great. But if you're good at that stuff, I would keep that close and outsource the other things because it'll help you grow faster.
I agree with you there, because there's a lot of rhetoric out in the online space around your first hire should be a VA. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't necessarily believe that. I believe that you should be hiring for where your weakness is as the business owner. So if you need someone to move into a sales and marketing role to help generate the leads, and that's not your strong point as the owner, do
Mhm.
that first. You know,
Yeah.
hold on to your admin things and just do those, on the quiet, but hire for where your weakness as the entrepreneur is. So I love that you brought that up. Can we talk about your business model, and of all of the business models we get to choose from these days, what does your business model look like, and how has that changed over the years?
Yeah. So today, my business model is an agency, and it's been that way for quite a long time. I went from freelancer straight into agency,
Mm,
um, and agency because I've got project managers, I've got tech people that do our system implementation work for our clients, and we also have some developers. So
mm,
we have digital products as well, and most of our work is most of our work is done for you.
yep.
Um, and yeah, so I have an agency business model. We work in pods. So there's a project manager, there's a tech person, and then the developers float. And each of my pods have a certain number of projects. So for me, I'll know when I need to expand based on the capacity of the pods and the projects they have. Uh, and then we have for lead generation, we do everything. I've grown the business by referrals
Mm,
since I've started. I mean, geez, my very first way of getting referrals, I was in a mastermind and I had done some systems work for two of the ladies in my mastermind with the understanding that at the end of our project, we would have back then it was a Google, no, Google Meet? No, I forget what it's called. But it wasn't
maybe
Zoom.
Skype back then.
It was way back when. But basically, I would have these sessions quarterly with past clients, and they would promote it to their list. And on this session, I would talk to them about what their business was like before working with us, what it was like working with us, and what's their business like now. And from there, I was able to, because they promoted it to their list, so that whole know, like, and trust factor was high. I was able to I would guarantee every quarter a good 2 or 3 projects from clients lists. And I would have 2 clients on. So at the same time, so, we'd had different stories, but they all would share how our work was and how it's changed their business. Because I've always found it hard for people to understand, from me, the impact of having systems in their business or good operations. So hearing it from somebody else, that always helped. So that was one way of us generating leads. And then we also, later on after that, we send out boxes to our clients where we created a magazine called The New Revenue Playbook, which is this playbook. And
Oh,
inside, we have just case studies of our client work. And it's the same thing that we used to do on that live. Basically, it talked about the client's business before, what it was like to work with them, and what the results were. And they had a testimonial from them. And we would send those boxes out to current clients, past clients, and then we have a list of partners. And that would kind of helped us create more of what I would say predictable leads. Because every time we sent one of those boxes out, again, we would generate 2 to 3 new clients. And then in addition to the boxes and the meeting, the live sessions, we had an email campaign that went out every quarter. So that's how we generated leads inside of our model. Because social media was never, I it was never the main lead generator for me.
Mm. And do you find working in an agency model, there is a level of know, like, and trust factor that has to be quite high in that agency model? You know, it's not so much of a let me test and see how it goes, because you are in that business so deep. They want to make sure that they make the right decision from the get-go.
Yeah, definitely. And because we're going like under the cover of people's businesses, and some people's back ends are very messy and it's embarrassing and they don't want to just let anybody in there. So there has to be a high know, like, and trust. And yeah, because it's coming from someone that's worked with us and someone that they trust, it's been a lot easier to close clients that way. So yeah, I think that is a good point.
So can we talk about the monthly live? So these are literally live testimonials that are happening in conversation live on social media. Have I got that right?
Yeah. So back then, and I forget it, I forget what it was called, but Google used to allow you to do these sessions. Now it's Google Meet, but they used to allow you to do these sessions and it would go onto YouTube. Like the recording would go onto YouTube, but we would invite people's lists to them. And, they would ask questions. I would interview the people, my clients that were on, so they can share their story. And from there, we had our follow-up emails. I wrote nurture emails for my clients to send out to get people to opt in. Those people to opt in, they'd be opting into my list. So then I'd have them to nurture them into a sale.
Love that. So there was a lead capturing point in that piece as well, where you were tapping into people who were on email lists or on customer lists of your clients.
Yeah.
It was a smart move.
Yeah. So when I did, and then this was in the very beginning when I did the work at a lower cost with this as a, part of the package. Like, I'll do this for you at a low cost, but I would love at the end of our project to be able to interview you to your list. Like, I'll provide you all the assets, everything else, so that, they can help me get more clients.
That's a smart strategy in terms of not thinking about it as just a testimonial, but thinking about it as who's in your world that I can help with the services that I've delivered to you to help your business.
Exactly. Yeah. And then also I feel like because of the know, like, and trust factor coming from that person, it helped us grow as well.
So in addition to those monthly lives with a client, how did you then work out a physical product that would then get sent out? Like, where did that come into your playbook in terms of helping you generate referrals and thinking about, as a digital service-based business, now you've got a physical product, physical magazine that you're sending out. How did you land on that as a strategy?
Yeah, so I actually remember this was right after, or maybe it was in 2021, so after COVID. And I was sitting in my office in Copenhagen and trying to figure out like how we can get in front of new people, how we can, generate new leads. And I knew people were tired of the Zoom fatigue back then because everyone was on Zoom and people weren't connecting as much in person. And I figured like snail mail, like we haven't done or mail, like we used to mail out Christmas cards, but other than that, like we never mailed anything. And I remember being on an accountability call and being like, wouldn't it be nice to just get something in the mail that's not a bill? Something that's, and we also send out these, it's just a notebook and the first couple pages are branded. And it's like, people love a good notebook.
Mm-hmm.
So why not? And so I just tried it. I literally we had some case studies. We put them together. I found a design company in London and they designed the magazine. We found a printer. The printer was actually Danish. The printer was in local to where I was in Copenhagen. They printed it. I remember them bringing me the proof to the office. Like they were as excited about it as I were, like something physical in the mail. So yeah, and I think I got 5 new clients from the first one, and they were referrals except for one. One was a past client that came back to work with us.
So you sent them to past clients, sent them to the leads that you'd collected from doing the lives, and you'd built like a distribution or an email list or a prospect list, if you want to call it that as well. There is a decision of like cost that goes into physically producing something. So what was your thinking behind that decision when it was going to definitely cost you to do a payment run without really knowing whether it was going to pay off or not?
Right. It was a risk. Definitely was a risk, but I knew that if we got one client, it would pay for itself because
Right.
the cost, it didn't cost a ton. I want to say this print run probably costed me less than $2,000.
Right.
Actually, no, I take that back because if we include the design for the magazine, it was probably around 3,500. Around
Right.
3,500. So I knew that if I got 1 to 2 clients, it would pay for itself. But also, we have profit margin in all of our projects for marketing,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in our
Right.
business, there's profits for marketing. So I took the marketing budget that we had for that quarter and put it towards this.
Right.
So because we weren't like marketing back then changed because I used to do a lot of speaking and traveling and things like that, but this was right after COVID. So there weren't a lot of events to be going to speak to. So I wasn't doing a lot of traveling. So I had the budget there and I was like, let's try something different. Let's try something new. And also, I want to say ordered these books first and I was sending out these books for Christmas time as well. Because I remember sending out the books and a pen and some business cards. And then I added in the magazine with the case studies. And the books only went out to clients. Because I remember having clients come back saying, "Oh, can I pay for one of those books?" And I was like, "Oh no, I'll just send it to you." Like it's a money making for new clients, but it wasn't like, "Oh, I'm gonna charge you for a notebook" situation. Yeah.
Great. And it paid off. It worked.
It did.
But I really want to dive into this this idea of referrals is not a reliable, predictable way that you should be building your business. There's a lot of rhetoric out in the marketing sphere at the moment that if you don't have a marketing strategy that is built on generating X amount of leads and having a way to turn them into clients that is not relying on referrals, that's the only predictable way to grow your business. And yet here you are, very successful in an agency model, growing your business relying on referrals only.
Yes. Referrals are my main thing. However, now that I've gotten back into speaking, that also helps as well. But
Right.
referrals has been the main. Like 80% of our clients come from referrals. And it's not something. So in the beginning, I used to struggle with referrals being the only thing because they're unpredictable. So I remember having a business coach that's like, "Oh, what are your goals?" And I'm like, "I can't create goals because I don't know when I'm going to get clients. Like, that doesn't make any sense. How could I do that?" And she had to change my thinking around how can I create a system to predict my referrals? And that's when I started to test and play with, communication and emails and like trying to hit different targets around people who would refer me. So we have an email campaign that goes out every quarter to the same people that get this magazine and partner box. So it's a magazine, it's a notebook, it's a pen, and it's business cards. And there's an email campaign that goes out along with that every quarter. These boxes go out probably. There was one year where we sent out 3 in a year. Now we probably do 2 a year.
Right.
But I also have time on my calendar every Friday where I'm connecting with clients, past clients, like that same list. And it's just, I don't connect with every one of them every week. I go through and I'm, reaching out, seeing what they're doing on social, seeing what's happening in their life, like being intentional about relationships. Because the one thing I've realized about referrals is you're going to refer to people that are top of your mind. So that's why we want to be consistent with emails. We're going to have consistent touch points. And I think those things have helped me build great relationships so that I consistently get referred. So basically what my time looks like at the end of the week is me having a list of people, and I'm going through and I might, look at them on social, comments something, might send emails to someone saying, hey, how's it going? Let's have a coffee chat, and just, continuously keep touch points with people that have either referred me in the past, or we've worked together in the past, or, we might have the same type of clients and things like that. And then also doing another thing that I started doing that really works with referrals is like partner webinars. So I might host someone that has the same type of client, but they may not deliver the same service, but they have the same type of clients. And I'll host them to my list and they'll host me to their list. That also works as well. So just having different activities and testing and seeing what really works in terms of conversion for you.
Yeah. I love the partner webinars because, again, it's still referrals because you're referring to each other and being of service to your clients by introducing them to another trusted service provider in your network, so that know, like, and trust is being transferred at that point. So I would never have thought of that as being a referral strategy, but that's exactly what that is.
Yeah.
So many things that you just raised right now that was outside of my thinking in terms of what referrals look like, so thank you for doing that. One question that I have around, now that you're sitting in an agency model and you've got pods, and these pods are working directly with your clients, so a new client might not necessarily get to know Sonaya. So you then going through that list on a Friday and reaching out to a client who's not really got a close working relationship with you. How do you approach that kind of situation? Because I think that's where service providers can get a little bit nervous or, caught up in their own thinking around, well, I don't really know them. We've not really worked together, even though they've worked with my team. How do you approach those conversations?
Yeah, well, although I'm not working with them on a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, I know everything that's happening in their project. I still do the sales on my team right now, so I know every client, and I do have checkpoints with them. So I'm not on all the project meetings, but we have quarterly check-ins. Like we have clients that either do a quarterly project, or we have clients that have signed on with us annually. And the annual ones, I do quarterly check-ins with them. Right. And so I do get to know them. I'm not, like I said, in the day-to-day or having the, bi-weekly project check-ins, but I get a report from all of our project managers at the end of the week on all of our projects. So I'm up to date on what's going on and what's happening. And I do the offboarding for our clients. So I know, and I'm having that, closing call with them. So I know how they, enjoy the work, what we can improve on, asking those questions from them. So I think, and I made this mistake as well. I think that a lot of people that run agencies think that great, you get the clients, they take it, I don't have to do anything with them. I, I like to have that hands-on feel, and I think my clients enjoy that as well, to know that I'm still involved. I remember a few years ago when I was like, I had that mindset of I don't want to be involved in every project. And I don't want to be involved in the day-to-day of every project, but I have oversight of every project because it is my agency. And while we have the processes and systems in place, there's still a level of quality and control that's needed. And although I could hire someone else to do that, I like to be the one to do that. Like, I think that's what's helped the business have the position in the market that it does have. And it's helped us continue to grow with ease. Like, yeah, I couldn't see it another way. But I think I did make that mistake of, the project manager will do it, or I did hire an account manager at one time to take that on. And it just wasn't the same. Like, I noticed a drop off in either renewals or us getting new clients. So that's when I was like, yeah, that's not how I want the business to run. So I took that back. I took that role back.
Nice. What's that going to look like for you as you continue to grow your agency? Or have you decided that business is a certain size for your lifestyle that you want to enjoy? Because there's a point in business where you can enjoy your business, and I think there's almost a sweet spot for every business owner as to where their business gets to. What's that look like for you?
This is interesting because I used to always think I wanted a big agency because at some point in time I wanted to sell it. And it's like, that'd be nice, but then what am I going to do? What's next? So yeah, I like the boutique agency. Right now, I don't have the vision of selling. We have between 12 and 15 projects at a time, and that's our sweet spot. That works well for us. And I think for now, that's where I don't foresee us having another pod. Like, I foresee that being it because the team is manageable and our processes work. It's like clockwork right now. Everything works really smoothly, really well. And I don't want to break it. I don't want to break that right now. But I will say, I can see us bringing in other product lines. So for example, one of the things I'm thinking about is creating a training. So the company is called the CEO Partner. And I've always been told in the past, your real product is your agency. And I was like, is it? When you're in it, you don't see that. And so I've had other people saying, how have you done this? Or training other people, like CEO partners. And I was like, oh, that's a great idea. I've heard this for years and never took it on until this year. And so, the sweet spot for the agency is 12 to 15 clients, the 3 pods that we have. And I think in order for growth, it's going to be bringing in or thinking of taking on other revenue lines.
That are more
leveraged.
I don't want to say this word, passive, but they don't have the same level of hours needed to deliver from a person to get that revenue coming.
Exactly. It'll be more leveraged, more so it's not all done for you work. We have digital products, but again, I don't push them. I mean, that could also be it too. I don't push them as much as we do the done for you work. We also have smaller 90-day projects. Again, I don't push that as well because for me, longer term committed work, better for the bottom line, better for, our team to execute on. But yeah, definitely more leverage, more passive, as you say,
Yeah.
work.
Leveraged is the good word. That's a great word, like that. Do you think, this having a referral system and having a business that can rely on referrals is only suited to a certain business model? So the agency, when you're an agency model, you need less clients through the door in order to make you profitable. And when they are less clients on a longer term basis, then referrals are great. And you could live off those all day, every day, having a system in place. Do you think referrals are suited towards that type of business model more than others?
I don't think so. I think referrals can be used for any business. I just think if you have a more of high quantity business model where you want to have a lot of people, referrals can't be your only source. You
Mm,
have to have other ways of getting them in. Or maybe if referrals are it, you double down on the ways that you get referrals, right?
mm,
So we send out these boxes 2 to 3 times a year. Maybe you send them out more. Maybe you have monthly webinars instead of quarterly webinars, right?
mm,
Maybe you have more, your partner list or your connection list is longer. So I only do connections once a week. Maybe you might have to do them 2 and 3 times a week if referrals are going to be your only thing. But if you have a more of a high volume model,
mm,
it's like referrals can't be your only source. You probably want to do some ads, speaking, things like that.
yeah, more cold traffic
Yeah. Yeah.
strategies. Amazing. Given that you've been in business since 2011, what are you most proud of? What's the one thing that you're most proud of that you've achieved in that time?
I would say the fact that I've been able to move 3 different countries, still have the business, and also still be present with my children. So I have 2 young daughters right now. They are 7 and about to be 9. She will not
Mm,
let me forget that she's about to be 9. Um, and I'm present with them. I take them to school. I pick them up. We spend weekends together. Um, yeah, the fact that I'm able to do that and still run a business is one of the
mhm,
things I'm proud of. And also, because they're girls, they're able to see that not only daddy goes to work,
mm,
and it's also like because I work from home, there was one day where the girls were like, "Oh, mama, what are you going to do today?" And I'm like,
yeah,
"I'm going to work," because they would ask their dad, "Have a good day." Oh, what are you doing today? You're going to work. Have a good day at work, because they see him leave the house.
mm,
So the fact that now that they understand that daddy's not the only one that can go to work and can do things, I think for me that's also one of my greatest things,
mm.
because I'm showing them that they can actually do what they want as well. It doesn't have to be only daddy.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Let's talk about creating a business, running a business, and living an expat life. First of all, going from America to London constantly and being back and forth, um, and then living in Europe, and then now living in Qatar.
Yeah.
Like, I get the first part of that journey, right? Is okay, I've fallen in love in London and now I'm back and forth until I make a decision of where I really need to be. Um, but you could have settled in London,
Yeah.
but you've decided to then go live in Europe for a bit and then head to Qatar.
Yeah.
What was beneath, those decisions, especially you've also got 2 young girls. Um, and it really defeats or goes against the grain of what growing a business, growing a family has looked like.
Mm.
When we were growing up, it was definitely a whole different picture.
It's true.
So
Yeah.
deciding
No.
that this is what you want for your life, where did that come from?
Yeah. So that's a really good question. Um, so our moves have been driven by my husband's career.
Right.
He's in banking, he's in finance. So when we first got together, he'd never lived outside of London. He traveled, like he's traveled and been all over, but he's never lived abroad. So after we had our first daughter, he's like, I want to, I really want to work abroad. And in my head, I'm like, okay, where shall we go? And he got an offer in Copenhagen. And I'd never been to Copenhagen. Copenhagen was never even on my, wish list to travel to. But it was a 2-hour flight away. And in my head, I was like, this is not abroad. This is like 2 hours away. 2 hours away. Coming from America abroad, it's like I'm thinking like we're going to Doha or something like that. But it was one of the best moves for us. Copenhagen was a great city to live with little kids. I had my second daughter in Copenhagen, and it was the best birth experience. Um, and it was great for business as well. I was able to learn how Europeans buy. We had this
Mm,
conversation earlier. I was able to
mm,
learn how Europeans buy and just how they do business. I mean, the Danes are very systematic as well, so it worked well for my heart in terms of seeing how they do things together. But yeah, we went there for his job. He worked for a Danish bank there and we stayed there for 3.5 years. It, I would say it helped us as a family get stronger. Like we had young kids. We were just, geez, freshly, it was our first year of marriage and it was just us. We went off and went to this new country, new marriage, new baby, but it all worked out. We're still here 9 years later. So yeah, Denmark was great. Then we left Denmark after 3.5 years because my older daughter was struggling to speak. So they were going to a Danish school and she was struggling to speak English or Danish. And we, got her tested for all the things, ADHD, autism, everything, and it all came back negative. And the one thing the teacher said is, I think it's time for you guys to be in a one language environment for her. And I'm so grateful to that teacher because we were like searching, thinking there was something else, but it was just language delay. And now like
mm.
she nonstop talking. Like we can't get her to stop talking. We went back to England. She was around her family, cousins, and yeah, it just switched.
Switched.
So yeah, I don't know what it was, but yeah, we went back to England and we were in England for 3.5 years. For me, it was a bit of a struggle business wise because I had to, with all of my moves, my business was able to flex and grow as I move. So like didn't like get rid of team, but we didn't just take on new clients. We kept it as is so that I can grow, I can get settled and things like that. So I was doing any speaking. This is where referrals and all that stuff that those engines were running perfectly fine. Um, and then once I got settled back in the UK, got the kids settled in school, everything with that, and I went back focused on business. The family was good, everything running well. 3.5 years, Dwayne gets another job offer, and it's in the Middle East, another city that I never thought I would have wanted to come visit. Because growing up, it's like the Middle East is not someplace you go to. Like you don't
Yeah.
you don't vacation and go to the Middle East. But we've been living here a year now, and it's
Mm,
amazing. The lifestyle is just like untouched. I've never seen it anywhere else in the world. Um, my kids, I'm just grateful that they have the opportunity to experience these different cultures.
mm,
And I mean, I'm when was it? Last week, Tuesday or Wednesday. I remember texting my husband after coming from coffee with some of the moms at school, and I was like, "Wow, I just had coffee at a completely global table. Like I was sitting at a table. I'm American, someone from England, someone from Singapore, Kazakhstan, and China. And I'm just like, this is amazing. Like, where in the world do you get to meet people from literally all over the world, just have a simple conversation. It was just so great. So yeah, that's been, my moves all over the world. And because of this, and because of the recent election in America, I started a brand called Your Expat Life. And that's also helped me just show people what life can be like outside of America.
Right.
And I think, to go to what we were talking about before, I think what's happened is you only know what you know. Like, you only know what you grew up with. You only know what, like, is around you and surrounds you, and you don't know what the possibilities are. And I feel
Yeah.
like I'm grateful to have had the opportunity to live in 3 different countries.
Mhm.
And I want to show other people that you can have a different life, like lifestyle. There's so many different lifestyles out there, so many different cultures to explore out there. And yes, I started this new brand called Your Expat Life because what else do you do?
You have an entrepreneurial spirit, and you just see a gap and you fill it. That's how the
Yeah.
entrepreneurial brain works.
Yes.
And so this new brand, this Expat Life, this is for Americans who are thinking about it or have not even had a thought about it, but maybe a little bit curious.
Yeah, they're curious. They're curious about what life is like outside of America. And they're it's interesting because I did a survey of the audience, and a lot of them want to move abroad, but they don't know where to start, or they don't know what's possible. So I've started interviewing just expats all over the world, and it's a few of our interviews, most recent interviews, have been for people living in Portugal, and it's just been like, even for me, like hearing their stories, I'm like, oh, maybe I need to live in Portugal. It just sounds lovely. But I just want to be able to show people what life can be like, and what the different lives people are living all over the world. I think people just need to be exposed. Like, you don't know what's possible until you see it.
What has been the most challenging piece around moving to a different country?
For me, it's been the restarting and the finding of community. So I'm an introvert. Don't know if you can tell, but having to, so my audience for the business is in America. And the further we move away, there's the a thing about uh, time difference, time zones. That's always like taking me some time to get used to. My team, they're American based and in the UK. So it's just taking some adjustments. Now, I've built the muscle, so I'm able to do that fairly quickly on the business side. But restarting with young kids over and over again, this is our fourth time, third or fourth time. And so we're able to do it. Like, I'm grateful that the family has built that muscle. We're flexible, we're adaptable, but it does take it is a skill that we have to, you have to grow. And it's been a challenge in terms of getting the kids into school, getting them adjusted. Like, this year, we started them into a new school in Doha from the school that we started last year, just because the school that they were in didn't meet our expectations.
Right.
But I wouldn't change it. Like, I think the mindset we have as a family, we'll try it. If it doesn't work, we can always go back. Like, things can always go back. Things can always change. Nothing is permanent. And I think that's one mindset that I'm raising my kids with. Like, and I think will help them. It's helping them in their confidence. Like, oh, it doesn't always have to stay that way. Things can always change. So yeah, that's been a challenge, but it's been a challenge that we've overcome.
I'm interested to know, as you've moved around and your business has moved with you, has your customer base remained the same, so you've got a team in America, a team in the UK. Do you have clients in America and then clients in the UK, or did you expand that to Denmark when you were in Copenhagen? Have you extended it to more Middle East now that you're in Qatar?
Yeah. So our client base is about 75% American. I had clients in Denmark. I've had clients in Ireland, in the UK. We haven't had clients in the Middle East yet. Still testing the waters there to see how to kind of break into that. But majority of our client base is in America. And I think that's just because of where my referral sources are, where my community is, but also because Americans do buy differently compared to the rest of the world.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that's fascinating to see the different buying behaviors between what you're used to in America and then UK, I would say a little bit more conservative, a little bit more standoffish to begin with.
Yeah, and they just take a longer time to buy. And we talked about know, like, and trust. They need a higher level of know, like, and trust before they actually convert. So I can look at the touch points we've had with our American clients. And it also depends on how we've met them, right? So if we've met someone at an event and I've been speaking, that know, like, and trust it starts off higher versus someone that's come off of a webinar. So if I've had a webinar with someone in America, they might buy in, a 90-day time frame. If I've had someone that's converted, that's been a client in the UK, it may take 6 to 9 months for them to convert. This has we've got, different funnels and touch points and stuff in the back end, but it's just a longer buy-in cycle to get them to, convert, know, like, trust, believe in the results. And I mean, our email campaigns are sending out case studies, we send out videos. So we're showing them the work that we do and they can see the before, the after, and all the things. But yeah, I think it's just their buying behaviors are different across the world.
Do you think it's a mindset thing where they don't believe their business is ready for that yet, or that's not a service for my business, or is it a financial, like, I'm not ready to commit and part with that money yet? Does there seem to be some pattern between the buying and the mindset?
Yeah, I do. I think so. I do think that you have to be like, for the type of work that we're doing, you have to be ready for it. Like, you have to want to lay it all out on the table so that we can fix it and we can see what's working, what's not working, and get things documented for you and creating those playbooks. Because if you're not ready for it, it's an investment. Like, it's not a cheap thing. I mean, we do have some lower end products where, like, we'll come in and set up your funnels and set up your systems and stuff like that, or your automations, versus us coming in and documenting your whole back office and creating playbooks for your team. Like, there's two different extremes. So yeah, I think you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready to lay it all out there so that we can kind of see what's broken and where to plug the gaps so that the business can be optimized.
Amazing. Over this journey, in the last few years since you started, many countries, marriage, kids, and still running a business, how has your leadership evolved over that time?
Yeah. I think I've become a better leader. I think I've always heard your business is only going to grow as far as you can grow as an individual.
Yeah.
And so I've taken that seriously in terms of growing myself. Like, I'm in therapy. I've got coaches, business coaches kind of help me, think about what's next and what what I need to work on and fix. one thing I'll say is I've never been afraid of looking at my numbers. Like I feel numbers tell a true story, and you have to know the story the numbers are telling you so that you can figure out where you want to go and what's next.
Mm.
But leadership wise, I feel like I'm definitely more of a hands-off leader. Like I want my team to come to me and basically say, "Hey, this is what I'm seeing, but also this is what I see we can do." I've kind of trained my team to come to me with the problem and the solution, and I think that culture has definitely helped me grow in the business, because then I can focus on helping grow the business instead of also fixing like the small day-to-day things, because I truly empower my team to own their role and own like what they're doing with with clients. Like I back my team
Mhm.
in every decision that they're making. Um, because I hire for my weaknesses. So I know that
Mm.
they're stronger in what they're doing you know, than me. Um,
Mhm. Mm.
yeah.
I love
But
that. I subscribe to that belief that your business will only grow as much as you as the individual owner grow. So if you are not growing as a person, as a business leader and a business owner, then your business also isn't going to grow either. So I definitely subscribe to that line of belief. Any rituals, routines, practices that keep you grounded in your values and connected to your bigger vision of what you want for your business and your life?
mm, um, I would say I'm definitely a planner. So I
Mm.
like to look at what's coming ahead. So like I plan quarterly. Now I've got like annual goals, but I need to know what's happening every quarter so that, I can lead the team in the right direction.
Mm.
um, but also for myself, I like to take time away, and that's like time away from everything. So like I go on a quarterly like weekend away, um,
Nice.
so that I can just kind of like decompress, think about, what I'm doing, um, what's next in the business. And I started this when I was in Copenhagen, and it was my husband's idea. He would he would send me, and it wouldn't be far. It would literally be probably 20 minutes from the house to a hotel just for a weekend. And as a new mom, when I first did it, I was like, "Oh, I needed this." And now I haven't stopped it because I'm just like and like I said, it was his fault because he started it. And so every quarter I still do it. And now he started doing it as well. Like he went away, I think, for the first time in September, uh,
Mm.
for a weekend. So yeah, I think that having that practice has definitely helped, as well. And like just like for myself,
Yeah,
business wise, that's planning. And yeah, we do quarterly like business reviews, and I do that with the team because I want them to have
yeah,
an insight to see what's working, what's not working, and have feedback as well. Those are some of
yeah.
the things that
Mm.
keeps us going.
I resonate with that a lot because when I was running my agency, so I had a business event agency, I would involve the team in our annual planning and in our quarterly planning, and get their input. I always had an idea of where I wanted to go and where I thought I needed to go, but having the team input into that, sometimes it stops you and you think twice. And then you slightly adjust because now you've got diversity of thought coming into how things are happening. Yeah, and it's just such a great it's got such a great process, and it makes you as the business owner not feel like that you are just the
Yeah.
only light leading the way.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, because one, I feel like the employees are, or my team is very invested in, the company as
Mm.
well. It's like having their input is it's great, because then I'm not doing all of this in a silo in my own little bubble.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So agreed. So as you move forward with your business, what does legacy look like for you?
I think it really kind of goes back to my daughters, really. Like, the legacy I want to leave is having them really be able to know that they're capable of doing anything.
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, there was one point where I was like, will they want to take over the business? I don't know. But I don't want to make that be like, the thing. I want them to be able to know that they're capable of creating something and really doing what they want,
Mm.
and having the confidence to just even try.
Mm. That's beautiful. Raising confident, strong human beings to go
Yeah.
out in the world and realize their every dream.
Yes,
So
exactly.
good. So good.
Well, also, I'll say that because I saw my mom as a single parent. She didn't go after her dream until after I graduated college. So she went into accounting because that's where she would make money, but she really wanted to be a chef. And she didn't go to chef school until like she finished putting me through college and doing all those things. And it's like she put her dream on the back burner. And it's like I didn't want to do that for myself, and I definitely don't want my kids to have that option. Like that. Yeah.
Yeah. But that's also a story to admire, right? Is that any stage in life, you can decide to do something different.
Yes, that's
So
true.
you
Yeah.
can go from being a numbers accountant person to being a creative in the kitchen with food. It doesn't have to be the choice of career or the choice of business, and that's your only path in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's such a beautiful story as well. And then, your girls are going to see that in their grandmother and say, wow, she's very inspirational as well.
Yeah, that's very true.
Sonaya, thank you so much for being here today. We've touched on lots of things, deep dived into business, life. Really, the world is just an amazing place to be when we begin to explore the possibilities. So I appreciate that you've opened your life to us completely on the podcast today, shared the challenges, shared your reasons why you want to do it. And before we wrap up today, there is a question that got left from the previous guest. So this is how I'm connecting all of these lovely women that I have on the podcast from all over the world into like a common thread. They don't know who they are leaving their question for, but this is the question that potentially they had for themselves. So the question that got left for you is, what's a piece of advice you wish you had given to you by somebody else when you started your business journey?
I think I wish someone told me to follow my own instincts. That, I know the true answer instead of looking for it from somebody else or outside. Yeah, because I feel like I've had a ton of ideas, but I've had other people tell me no, or no one's going to want that, no one's going to do that. But I should have followed my own instincts, and trusted myself. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we all have a really strong guiding light, and we just need to find the confidence in ourselves to follow that light.
Yeah,
What a
exactly.
great piece of advice. I mean, if we fail, then that's on us. But at least we followed our own light. If we followed our own idea.
Exactly.
Yeah. Such a great piece of advice. Again, thank you so much for joining me on the podcast today. I've really enjoyed getting a little bit of glimpse into your business, into your life. Enjoy the rest of your time in Qatar. How long do you think you'll be there for?
I don't know. The theme seems to be about 3 years, so we'll see. We didn't put an end date on it, so maybe here
Okay.
3 years, maybe here 5 years.
That's fun. That's just seeing how life rolls for you and what might unfold as you continue to enjoy one day at a time.
Yeah. Thank
So
you.
beautiful. Thank you again for being here, for sharing everything. I am sure there is going to be lots to take away for the listeners from this episode. So I very much appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Wahine. If today's kōrero resonated with you, inspired you, or made you stop and think, I'd love for you to follow the show and share it with another wahine in business. You'll find all of the links and details from this episode in the show notes. So until next time, keep building your business your way, grounded in who you are and the legacy you're here to create. The podcast music is Te Kawa o Rongo by Naneko Erawata. The episode is edited by LJS Creative Services, and the show notes and blog post are written by Bellbird Writing.